The speedrunning community for Dragon's Dogma recently made a huge breakthrough with new strategies implemented that improved upon the last world record held by Glasnock at 14 minutes and 2 seconds. The current world record holder Havocspill practiced these new strats for over 6 months before they finally nailed all the parts of the speedrun and managed to finish the whole run in less than 13 minutes. Today we will take a closer look at how this speedrunner broke the 5-year-old record in an interview with Havocspill, the current world record holder, together with Flyout Fate, who is also a very knowledgeable Dogma speedrunner that have helped perfecting the run and the strategies they use today. Let's jump in and watch the walkthrough and explanation of the current world record speedrun of Dragon's Dogma.
We're typically near over-encumbered for the entire playthrough, but there are parts where we lighten up, either when we're lowering down on blast arrows or when we lose the wake stones towards the end.
So what can you guys say about the preparation and setup for these speedruns?
The thing about this speedrun is that it's actually pretty forgiving in terms of how you want to do it. There's a lot of different ways you can go about it, but I think the most important thing is definitely you need Liquid Vim, you need Blast Arrows and Conqueror's Periapts.
And a lot of them. Holy shit.
Yeah, you need a lot.
You also need a lot of Ne'er-do-Part.
Yes, Ne'er-do-Part are very important for the Ox Cart, which is the longest stretch of the speedrun.
You also need about we're between like 4 and 5 skeleton keys because of a few skips we perform later, but effectively the main things you need are strong weapons, decent enough level, I'd say level 150 up. You need enough money to have a Maker's Finger. You need enough money.
He was already way over there in that cutscene there.
Yeah, that's one of the major things about the movement is you are sometimes faster than the camera.
Yeah.
And sometimes faster than the game itself. I've had times where the game just crashes mid-run.
Like it doesn't load enough, fast enough. Yeah.
And on console, if the game doesn't load fast enough, nobody shows up until like you wait for like 5 or 6 seconds. So you have to like just pause until people load. So that move there saves about a second, but it also saves multiple seconds just later in the run when Mercedes actually spawns closer to the training hall. Yeah. Havoc, if you would explain your methods for killing this Cyclops.
Yeah, my methods are just use a blast arrow and aim quick and hope for the best. I usually just aim for like the center of mass because the Cyclops will always do that animation where they kind of lean over and swipe down.
It's a one-shot kill there.
It is.
Yeah.
Because the Cyclops is already very low on health because it's a scripted combat.
And what are the rules for difficulty on these speedruns?
Speedrun mode automatically sets it to easy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. If you want to do any percent, it's any difficulty you really want to, I'm pretty sure. There's no separation between categories, but easiest difficulty, less health on enemies, so it's likely the one that people play on the most. That right there, the timer doesn't go when you're in the rift, so you can dismiss Rook freely without losing any in-game time.
Anytime you're in the rift, in a menu, in dialogue, or in the pause menu, the in-game timer does not go up.
This guy, for example, also super helps out with the speedrun because he freezes the timer until we can actually align ourselves.
I feel like in terms of getting from the encampment to the Way Castle is one of the less polished areas of the run. I'm not too familiar of any routes that are like better than what I currently do, so for now this is just kind of what I go for.
It's one of the areas that nobody wants to refine because it seems so pointless, in a way.
Now, for me personally, just not long ago I actually did this Ox Cart quest live. And it's really tricky to not get caught by that. So many times I got hit by the ox.
We actually use that to our advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you get you get staggered by the ox while it's running, for the rest of that specific run animation, you won't get hit by it. So if you're a strider, you can just tank the hit by the ox and instant reset, and then you'll be good for as long as that little sprint is going for.
The biggest problem with the ox cart are the goblins and wolves. The harpies typically don't really matter unless you accidentally shoot the ox with your bow, in which case the ox will stagger. If the ox staggers, it's an instant reset because of how fast we are now.
Yeah, we're getting to the point where Ox Cart is... It's still very weird. It's still...
I mean, it's a good thing that this part is in so early that you can actually reset and not lose that much time when you're trying these speedruns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's like the only saving grace about this part. If by some miracle we can find a way to skip Ox Cart altogether, I will be very happy.
I've been working on ideas for that, and it seems like the quest trigger is when the ox cart hits the corner of the ramp. It has to be the ox, which is what sucks about it so much, because I literally carried Mercedes all the way to Grand Soren in a test run, and it did nothing, so it has to be the ox. I'm trying to figure out... Oh, by the way, right there, when the ox is sprinting, it's immune to stagger, which is one of the other saving graces of this run.
So, how many glitches do you use, or...
It's honestly kind of hard to say with just how this game runs. Yeah,
the glitches are kind of a technicality. Like, for example, what we're doing with the ox, that's technically a glitch, because it's a group heal, but for some reason, it affects the ox if you stand close to it.
Arguably, the Duke skip, once we get to that part, that could be arguably a glitch, or like an exploit of some kind. It's hard to say.
It's definitely an AI exploit for sure.
But there's definitely a glitch where the goblins don't spawn once we get up to this stretch ahead.
Yeah, or the glitch that we just saw when Havoc vaporized the goblins. The other glitches that like are used in other runs, like any percent has the barrel glitch. You use it to get the BBI weapons early.
Up until these bandits outside of Grand Soren, it's just you're sweating, hoping that you don't screw up Ox Cart.
Yeah, and then the bandits are like the last hurdle. I've had a stray arrow hit Oxanne before, which, by the way, that's our name for her. Havoc came up with it.
I like names.
Nice.
Names are fun. The plan once we hit Grand Soren is to get rid of our pawn, because we've already got Rook gone. So we just have to get rid of our pawn.
3 glitches, by the way. I forgot about Skull Splitter. That's a definite glitch.
Yeah, once we get to the Everfall, that comes into play.
It's fun to see that only this ox cart quest is taking us almost half the run.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
That's exactly how it goes.
That's insane.
The run could be cut down to like 5 or 6 minutes if we could skip the ox cart somehow.
That's crazy.
You can
I
port
walked
crystal
the
there.
coastline, placing
Yeah,
port crystals down.
That's so random, man.
And then you just mashed grab to pick up your pawn, and then you throw them off, and then you could just fairy stone out, and they'll be gone.
They'll be dead before you even throw the stone. Saves so much time over throwing them off the Everfall. And then from here, Havoc has perfected the movement into the Pawn Guild.
Yeah, it could be tricky at times because you can't really see for a few seconds. But I've definitely got a feel for, you know, how fast and how far the cutting wind goes. If you hold forward while doing that skill, you will have forward momentum, so you can just jump off the ledge with the skill, and you don't take fall damage. So
if you're sprinting, you might be able to actually land on the throne.
yeah, there's a few techniques for dealing with the Everfall, but this is the one I'm most comfortable with.
It's also the one that Havoc changed the entire movement set of the speedrun to incorporate.
Really? How did that work before then?
We used to just tank it, fall damage.
Oh, just fall and take the damage.
Yeah, you'd use the fall damage augment, but now with this tech, it frees up the augment spaces for other things.
Yeah, that's also interesting. What kind of augments do you guys need for this run?
Arrow stuff,
I have
carry weight.
I have a picture of it. Let's see if I can find it real quick.
So this skip right here was discovered by a runner who shortly thereafter disappeared from the leaderboards after getting 2nd place. And they basically discovered that you can actually bribe the guard after breaking out of jail. So whoever that person was, amazing for revolutionizing the run.
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah, the Skyrim tech.
Yeah, because before I was just running from the Pawn Guild all the way up to Maximilian.
That saves so much time.
It does. It saves a lot. Because
like 10, 15 seconds?
Yeah, something crazy like that. Normally, on a very good run, I would get to Maximilian at about 7 minutes in game time, and now it's like
650.
I'm already gone and doing the other quests by the time 7 minutes is there. Oh, okay. Before I get into augments, the Fortress Besieged is really funny because you can just kill the guy and then run away. You don't actually have to do anything.
And then you just pass the quest.
One of the few quests that there's like a fail condition for, which is nice. But for augments, my augment loadout for this run is Vigilance, Bastion, Conveyance, leg strength, clout, and sinew. So it's a lot of boosting strength, and then there's a few that boost carry
movement
weight,
speed, carry weight,
and movement speed.
So for this part, Havoc and I workshopped a bit, and we realized that since we're too fast for Aldous, he's still at the top of the stairs right now. We have to just sit and wait for Mercedes, and we talked to her for like 45 seconds to stall the timer, while Aldous goes into his required spot.
Ah, so that's why you do that.
Precisely, and not only that, there's an NPC that will actually open the door at the top of the stairs right there, so you don't have to waste time like resetting and opening the door, making sure everything's good.
Yeah, it also perfectly lines up with Aldous.
Man, down to the details. I'm loving that.
Yeah, this game runs on a very tight schedule, so it's very easy to tell when people are going to be where, so long as you know specific checkpoint moments in the route.
A thing I struggle with from time to time is accidentally scaring the NPCs, because if you walk up to them with your weapons out, they get startled. So you have to be very careful not to do that, because at this point, that is another reset.
It's a major time loss. It's like 2 to 3 seconds. One of the weirdest things about that, though, is that at one point, Havoc was in grounds to scare Aldous and didn't, so I'm still workshopping how to further incorporate that. It's either a luck-based glitch, or it's something that we might be able to exploit.
So we're off to fight the Griffin. You talk to the hunting party, port crystal out, I grab a spider real quick, and then just do a little skip to my Lulu over to the bait area.
Yeah, music starts, Havoc prepares, buffs, and holds out the weapon.
It's really crazy to think about how just like juxtaposed to like my very first playthrough of the game to me speedrunning it in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy because the Griffin was one of the things I was so frustrated about because it would always get away, and now I'm just like one-shotting it every time.
Yeah, that was so clean as well.
You actually have to wait for the Griffin to do a death animation before you port crystal out here. So if we can find
for some reason it locks you in.
Yeah, if there's some way to get around that, that's another few seconds, but as of right now, it's not a huge deal.
I'm gonna run a couple tests to see if it has something to do with the quest itself, or if it has something to do with the Griffin dying, because there could be a way, if it has something to do with the Griffin dying, to do it. If we were to shoot the arrows and then immediately go into a port crystal, go into a fairy stone, there might be a way to skip it, but if it's attached to the quest itself, then you're locked in. So this is a nice little recovery checkpoint. Basically, if you forgot anything at the start of the run, you can get it here. You can refill on blast arrows or parry apps if you're still experimenting with that. You can get different other things, but for the most part, we usually just do this.
And you'll notice I pause immediately after hitting one of the guards. That's to ensure that all of the NPCs are loaded, so I'm not wasting in-game time. A lot of Grand Soren is just do the quest, go to jail, pick up more quest, go to jail.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
It's pretty much the entire arc.
Good thing this isn't a pacifist run.
Yeah.
Yeah, pacifist speedrun would be funny. So for this, we've picked up the Worm King's ring at the start of the run, and boom, we already give it there, and then Mercedes.
I always pick up a forgery because the Duke is mean, and I don't like him.
Yeah, cancel Duke.
Fair enough.
Mercedes is one of the few NPCs that doesn't get startled.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about putting your weapons away with Mercedes.
Yeah, the she-goat is tough.
Yeah, from here, I mean, on paper, the run is pretty straightforward at this point. It's just a lot of knowing where to teleport to, knowing what, checks there are so you can activate fairy stones or do certain things.
But also, I understand that the last part of the run is very RNG heavy.
It is.
Yeah.
The very, very end of the run. Once you get to the Gore Chimera with the pressure plates, that entire encounter is RNG. And then after that, the Seneschal fight is RNG, so...
Best thing you can do with Gore Chimera is to stay on its right, stay on your version of its right side, because it goes for a paw swipe, but the biggest luck-based part of it is if it jumps towards you, it cuts off so much time. If it roars, typically you have one free roar before you have to reset the entire run.
I think it's just down to the point where you have to get near perfect RNG for the Gore Chimera and the Seneschal, because we'll see once I get to that part. I have very good luck. Once again, if you're in dialogue, the timer isn't going, so what you can do is blast arrow, conqueror's parry apt, and then you can fire off a 5-fold shot at the cockatrice, walk backward to initiate the dialogue, wait for the arrows to hit, end dialogue, shoot again, go back into dialogue, and it basically pauses the timer for the entire cockatrice fight.
Yeah, because I saw something strange there, that your character were actually looking away when it was shooting. That's the first time I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, your head turns to dialogue. This is Duke Skip. So, original Duke Skip was you throw him and get arrested. New Duke Skip is this.
You don't get arrested.
Yep.
You have to be very
Wow.
fast. It was Kongen Sai in their any % run.
Yes.
Yeah, huge thanks to them for utilizing this. It's a lot. I've only been able to successfully do it a few times.
Yeah, 2 or 3 times, I think. I've also pulled it off a similar amount, because the faster your game runs, the faster the guards spawn.
Honestly, yeah.
This Chimera, has a one-shot, but typically we end up killing it in 2 or 3 hits.
Conqueror's periapted blast arrows are broken.
Extremely. The numbers get so high. Plus, they've got gold-forged, Darkening Storm.
This is another kind of RNG part. We have to use Pentad shot on the liches, and you just have to hope that the arrows go in the right orientation to hit properly.
Havoc's done a one-shot before, as has Glaznong, who I think coined the idea, but sometimes you gotta do it in 2. Typically, I end up just spamming arrows.
Yeah, it could be rough. Luckily, it's not like a huge time loss, but once the record is like down to the wire, it'll be
The dragon's one of the shortest parts of the run. It's great. The ox is harder than the dragon.
Yeah, that's insane. You just sprint up to Grigori and shoot him in the face.
But here, you see that we roll off cliffs a lot. That's because the game actually shunts your character down a little bit. You fall faster when rolling. It's weird. You can see that sometimes Havoc gets magnetized towards enemies. That's because of the nature of Shearing Wind.
which is why we have to roll reset when we're in like public areas, like the capital.
Now it's the RNG fest.
Yep. So here's that, and then around there is when Havoc triggered the roar. So that was a little bit of a time loss, but then almost immediately the Gore Chimera starts cooperating, which is nice.
Yeah, this, aside from the roar, this was near perfect RNG, so it's going to be very hard to replicate that.
Yeah. The hardest part is knowing when to step off the pressure plate. I've lost a couple runs to accidentally stepping off too early. But here, the double leap and the pause wipe, amazing stuff. If that roar wasn't there and there was another jump, it would have been perfect.
Well, that's that's Grigori.
Boss fight initiated, boss fight over.
Yeah.
Thank you, Grigori. We're on our way to kill God.
Yep.
Yeah.
God
So-
goes down in 3 hits.
My old route, before I realized how slow it was I would always just port Crystal to the Pawn Guild. But just going to the front gate of Grand Soren is so much faster, especially with the new, like, jail skips.
Front gate of Grand Soren is like the fastest way to get into Grand Soren. It's great.
Yeah. It's crazy to think, and a lot of this is like new discoveries too. This Glaznog's record was 4 years ago, and we're still discovering new ways of optimizing the run. Yeah,
Anyway, now we're
definitely,
in very light territory, which is good.
I just buff myself up, prepare for the fight, and try to hope my aim is good. I've been instead of just shooting, I've been trying to aim at his feet for the air, like the blast area. It's more consistent.
One of my discoveries was that when the Seneschal is staggered, he has a higher chance of going into his like super burst. So what I do is I spec into stagger for my runs. The Seneschal is the closest thing besides Oxcart that this game has to. Well, no, Oxcart is the closest thing this game has to an auto scroller. Seneschal is a close second.
The little hallway where you have all the NPCs, then you have to run up to the Seneschal. I feel like I'm not quite perfect at that yet.
Honestly, it's as optimized as I think it's gonna get because of how Shearing Wind is.
Yeah,
But it
it's
seems
weird.
like running on the left side of the hallway is the fastest way to go. Because I've tried right side, it's super slow. But yeah, if you see, the Seneschal was staggered there and immediately went into his burst. It's another perfect RNG segment.
I honestly don't even know if it's possible to get it any faster than that, other than the pawn grabbing the Seneschal sooner.
Yeah, that was super fast.
There's a short amount of time in between the stab and everything else where you just have to wait, so it's just raw anticipation.
I've just taken to not even looking at the timer once I do that. Just get
Yeah.
me to the end screen so I can see.
Pretty much. But yeah, that's the end of the run right there.
There's definitely a lot of nuance and a lot of weird game mechanics that allow us to do some pretty cool stuff.
12:52. Now this is the first sub 13.
Yeah,
That's
the first
insane.
recorded one ever.
World first.
It's crazy to think about. I never thought I would have gotten this far.
Well,
And
congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Huge achievement.
I owe it all to the community, really, because I would have
was a
never discovered
massive
any of
effort.
these methods or tactics.
Yeah. When Havoc posted their, I believe it was a 5th place run at first.
Oh, it was lower than that. My first posted run was like, here, I can actually find
20
it.
something minutes.
My first ever speedrun mode was on console, and I didn't record it, and it was like almost 30 minutes in-game time. So 6 months ago, I started recording and like practicing. I got a 1739. I just
It was that run that I verified, and I ended up like just kind of egging you on. We ended up joining the community effort and ended up finding a lot of cool shit.
Really amazing how the community have come together here and like taking bits from each other and learning and perfecting this run.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
It's an amazing effort, and it's amazing to see how the community has evolved and how it's going to continue to evolve in the wake of this second game. I'm going to be routing the speedrun from the start, absolutely. My first Dragon's Dogma 2 stream is going to be me routing the game while playing the story.
Oh yeah, it's going to be interesting what we can do with Dragon's Dogma 2, yeah.
Well, if anyone's interested in like a super in-depth analysis video of the speedrun, I'm going to be working on that for a bit. No guarantees on like a release date because my process is slow, but it'll be out there.
Yeah, and if anyone's interested for like live glitch hunting and things like that, I stream on Twitch.
Yeah, I'll share both your channels, and I'll just say thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, until next time then.
Ciao.
All right, until next time. Ciao.